Just killed a gnat.
Good.
Or a mosquito, for those of you who don't know what a gnat is. Ooh. Hello and
Welcome back to...
got a bit more energy.
Hello and welcome back to a new series of the ProgLock podcast. My name is Prog.
And my name is Locke.
And we are the...
ProgLock Podcasters. Welcome back.
I think this is the first
season 2.
This is the first, season 2. This is the first video episode we've ever done. So you should probably introduce that. I'm Tom. Hello, pleased to meet you.
Hi, I'm Jack. Nice to meet you. I've just realised though, the issue that you've got, and this is what a lot of YouTubers don't. This is why a lot of YouTubers don't show their face, is that you always picture what someone looks like based on their face, and I feel like people might be disappointed.
Who?
People.
Who?
Or do you mean who's? Oh, they were disappointed with what you look like.
You mean all the people that watch the other episodes and have gone, oh yeah, there's a video, I'll check that out. Oh no, not happy with the way they look.
I think you get used to a thing though, don't you? I always used to do that. Maybe that's just me. But I feel like everyone does that. You listen to a voice.
I was thinking this because I was listening to Fauna today by Haken.
Oh, that's a nice little segue.
It is a nice little segue. And I was thinking, I remember when they released their live album, and up to that point, I didn't know what Ross Jennings' voice sounded like. And then he spoke, and I thought, yeah, his voice sounds like he has an accent that's in...
I'm sorry, you listened to the album and didn't know how the singer's voice sounded.
No, his talking voice, because think about, like, there is an overlap, like, the way James Ludbury sings is also the way he talks. And the same with Ross Jennings, the way he talks.
But does it? Is it? Because he's performing. You'd have to meet him in the flesh, which I know you've done, but you'd have to meet them in the flesh, see how... But even then, they're probably performing, because they know that you're a fan of theirs.
Yeah, no, I know, but you hear his voice and you go, that's the way you... You can't fake how you talk.
Really? Says you!
What are you talking about?
You put your YouTube persona on. I had to say at the beginning,
watch this,
a bit more enthusiasm.
Get ready. I don't know, what do I say?
Welcome back
to another episode of the ProgLock podcast. My name is Tom. I'm here today with Jack Locke, my brother. Say hello, Jack. And today we're going to be reviewing, the recent Haken gig that we attended. This was An Evening With Haken, of course, at the O2 Forum in Kentish Town in London, England. So...
Yes, we are! Let's go straight into the episode!
Right, so, before... Can't stop it now.
So actually, I've started. I think is our preamble. Sorry, preamble. Preamble. Where are you going?
Carry on. Talk.
Okay, sorry. I thought it'd be a nice idea. We're going to try and add some features to this whole thing. We've had the camera thing, the video. We're on my new house, by the way, so that's why it took so long. It's really to come up. That's not really the reason why we couldn't figure it out. But I'd also like to bring in something new. And today we're bringing in, please sponsor us, Tonics. Established 1890. They're tea cakes.
There's dogs barking in the background. That won't be picked up by the mics, but that's why he paused there.
So I'd like to. We'll take it in turns to bring in a delicacy. Here's a tea cake.
The problem is this has got nothing to do with music, but
no, I mean, you're settling in. People might be sitting there of a Tuesday, Saturday, and they might be going, "Okay, what can I have with the ProgLock boys?"
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. So it's like a comfy thing. It's like we'll do this, and then
maybe we'll bring a drink in one day. But I found these tea cakes. Simple as that.
Uh huh.
Do you know what's inside a tea cake? For those who don't know, I don't know if they're English.
Yeah. Well, tea cakes, it must be English.
Established 1890, and America wasn't even founded then.
I used to have like a whole pack of these on a Tuesday when I went to the youth club at the church.
A whole pack?
Mm-hmm. That's how I became a fatty first time.
I didn't understand a word of that.
That's how I became a fatty.
Tea cakes?
No, just churches, and you go to church and you just get loads of... You just eat loads. So we are going to be bringing back a couple of features that were in the original show before we went video. There was one that I did, the famous ProgBusters, an original idea where I gave a cryptic clue and sometimes an initial that referenced a prog band. I think a couple of times we did prog songs. We did Dream Theater songs for the Dream Theater album rank video. We're bringing that back. We're doing that again. But in addition, I've got educating Jackster, Jacky.
Well,
Or
educating Rita
Well,
became educating Ricky, became educating Jack. It can work on anyone.
So let me tell you how it works. So
If your name's Brad, it'd be educating Brad.
We've
If
got
it's Jenny, it'd be educating Jenny. And if I was doing it for Tom, it'll be educating Knobhead.
nice. We've got 3 cryptic clues, and we've got 3 topics. I'm going to read the cryptic clues now at the start of the show, and then at the end of it, we'll reveal the answers so you can play along at home. And of the 3 topics, they're fun facts about progressive rock. And I think what we'll do is we'll do all 3 of them, but we'll do them at different points throughout the episode. I was going to say I'll read you the headlines, we'll do 1, and then we'll roll over the next 2 to next week. But we won't do that because I want to give you all these stories. I think they're all really good. So we'll start off with Educating Jack. Here are 3 headlines to kind of like entice you. You need to pick 1 to hear now, and then we'll do more later on. So here are the 3 headlines. The first one is Big Dreams, Tiny Giants. The second one is Nah, Reg, it's not working, try being Elton. And the third one is Too Busy Surfing to Fly with Colours.
Too busy surfing to fly with colours.
So just mull those over for a sec. Big Dreams, Tiny Giants. Nah, Reg, it's not working, try being Elton. And then Too Busy Surfing to Fly with Colours. So pick one, and then you get to find out. And the other ones you'll have to wait until later in the show to find out what they're about.
What's the giant? What was the headline for the two small giants?
Big Dreams, Tiny Giants.
Choose that one. Big Dreams, Tiny Giants.
Okay, so Derek Scholman. Do you know who that is?
Derek Scholman. No.
Lead vocalist for Gentle Giant, was a prominent record label executive and CEO of Atco Records. Now, can you guess who his second signing at Atco was? They're a small New York progressive metal band that you might have heard of. Atco Records, a second signing as CEO of Atco Records.
This is going to be someone recent. The fact that you've mentioned second. He
signed a small New York progressive metal band.
Oh, Atco.
This was in 1980 something.
Okay, then it'd be Dream Theater.
Yeah, so he signed Dream Theater. And then later on, he founded Roadrunner Records and signed both Slipknot and Nickelback. Yeah. So that's weird. But he was also the first person to sign Bon Jovi as well. So he discovered Bon Jovi.
Did he
Nickelback.
re-sign Dream Theater?
No, he was the original signing. I know they didn't get on with that record label, but
they went to Roadrunner though, didn't they? Or was that something else?
I don't know. They went to Roadrunner eventually, but their very first record label. So he discovered Dream Theater, Bon Jovi, Slipknot, and Nickelback, massive bands today, and obviously
surely
weird
Slipknot and
different.
Nickelback were already
No. He was the first person to sign them. He discovered them. Like, this guy discovered them. He was the one that offered them the label after seeing them at shows and stuff. Local bands before that.
That's interesting.
And then not only that, but he was also lead vocalist for Gentle Giant. I had no idea. And these are like such different genres. Bon Jovi. And then Slipknot, Nickelback, Dream Theater. These just couldn't be further apart. I mean, I know Slipknot is obviously metal and Dream Theater's metal, but Nickelback? You know what I mean?
Nickelback can be quite heavy, though. I've not really listened to them. But I think from what I've heard, they can be quite heavy.
I'm just saying. I just think that's quite a fun fact. So that's your bit of education.
Yeah.
For that part of the show, Big Dreams, Tiny Giants. Do you feel like you've learned something?
Big Dreams, Tiny Giants.
Yeah.
I like that.
Cool. Thank you.
That was good.
Right. So we've also got ProgBusters. What we're going to do is start the show, and we're going to get into the Haken discourse soon. I'm going to give you 3 cryptic clues, and then later on in the show, we'll go back over them, so they can be like brewing in your head, stewing. Simmering.
Okay.
Melting pot. Don't say it if you know it, because
just think about
let
it.
people play along, and then we'll do it at the end. Okay. So, 3 cryptic clues. All right. Number 1, and I'll give you the initials as well. Number 1, this is a band you couldn't say no to. Why?
Jesus. All right.
Number 2, bit chilly. F. And then number 3 is
I know that one.
Over there are my 2 kids who are male, named after a body of water, and my favourite type of tree, but sort of as a verb in that. I'm not.
Oh my god! Let's say 2 easy ones, 1 difficult one.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you the initials.
2 easy ones, one that doesn't work.
So I'll just read those again one more time. I'm not going to give you the initials for the last one because it's obvious. First one, this is a band you couldn't say no to. Why? Bit chilly. F. And then over there are my 2 kids who are male, named after a body of water and my favourite type of tree, but sort of as a verb in that. So verb's a doing word.
Wow.
Yep.
Savage.
So those are your ProgBusters. Those
Okay.
are your educating jacks. Well, that's one of your. You got two more to go there. Don't forget. Later on, we'll be going over. Nah, Reg's not working. Try being Elton, and too busy surfing to fly with colours. So
Is the so part of it?
yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Because in a cryptic, that's not cryptic clue. Every word counts.
So let's pack open another tea cake.
Jesus.
Yeah, and then we'll get onto the actual meat and beaten potatoes of this show, which is
get mine one out. There we go.
yeah, which is going to be reviewing the Haken show. So Jack, what did you get up to on Saturday?
Well, let me see here. I got up.
That's please.
No. I went to see Haken.
You went to see? Oh, that's
at the
really
Kentish
strange.
Town Forum.
That is weird because I also went to see Haken.
Did you really?
At the Kentish Town Forum.
So it's weird that we didn't see each other, or did we?
I saw you and I sort of thought,
Yes,
probably keep away from that. That's not
that.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, sorry.
So anyway, we journeyed up early, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
So a few weeks ago, yeah, it's about a few weeks ago. I noticed it. So we had tickets for a while. Obviously, we were going to go and see Haken. Actually, we'll journey back even further. Last year, when I was on tour in Austin, I think I might have mentioned it. I went over to see Haken. They were playing. They were following. It was almost like we were following each other around, and eventually, we landed in the same city on the same day. We were support bands, so we were on earlier, and they were playing about 10-15 minute drive away from where we were playing. So I was stuck in this sort of punk tour with like old school punk rockers basically, and I needed to get out of that little thing. And when I saw Haken, I was like a lifeline. I was like, yes, I have to go, and I did. And it was probably the best show I've ever been to, based on the fact that it was done on a whim. And I just turned up by myself, got involved, and it was just really, really cool. Really, really enjoyed it.
Did you? Sorry. So I remember. So you showed up late, right? They already started when you arrived.
No, the support band were playing.
Oh, okay.
And
So
I can't remember who they were now. They were an instrumental band. I can't remember the name.
that's funny, innit? See, I've done one show, I think, in my whole life solo, and that was Coheed and Cambria at the Camden Roundhouse.
Yeah.
It was great, and I got chatting to the people around me, and I kind of made a couple of friends who sort of stuck with the whole time. That was nice. But yeah, I've never done it on a whim. I've never just gone, oh yeah, go on, I'll do that.
Especially in a country that you're not comfortable with, and the fact that
What'd you call me?
And the fact that you've not got a ticket yet either. So it was a case of just turning up on the door, getting a ticket.
Oh, so you didn't even look online to see if there were tickets available. You just sort of went, well, I'll see if there is.
Well, they didn't say it was sold out.
Yeah.
So I saw that far, and then I just went down there, and yeah, it was absolutely fine. It was yeah, and it was a really good experience. It was really refreshing to sort of be around that sort of style of music and in that crowd, and it just, yeah, I loved it. And the fact that they're from England as well made me feel less homesick.
Yeah.
Which is really good. Really nice.
So this was the Fauna Expedition tour, right? So they were playing
a
couple tracks from Fauna, probably the hits Love Bite Taurus.
They played a few. They played they didn't play Nightingale. They played Elephants Never Forget. They played what's this? I'm trying to think. Sempiternal Beings.
Okay, that's an album track then. That's not. Oh, was that a single?
They played. No, it was an album track. They played most of the. I don't think they played Nightingale actually.
Okay,
They
so
did-
we've
they
got.
opened with Taurus.
I've got the set list. If you want me to remind you.
Oh no, I've got the set list as well. I actually made a playlist of it, and I listened to it the other day.
Ah, okay.
And it was really, really
Wow.
nice to listen back through it.
Okay, so this is interesting because and we'll get into this. I was sort of thinking the An Evening with Haken is the Fauna tour, but it's not, is it? Because it is. They are touring Fauna in full, but
No.
actually they'd already done the tour to support Fauna. That was
Yeah.
Fauna Expedition.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking through this and like Elephants Never Forget.
There's
Well, that was definitely an album track, so I'm surprised they played that. But actually, this is a whole other set list, very different to what we saw.
Yeah. So yeah, opening with Taurus. That's why when I said to you with this show, it was like, oh, I bet it starts with music or whatever, and then it'll go ding ding ding
Yeah.
ding 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 ding, which I did the exact same thing. In Memoriam from the Mountain.
No,
was
starting
next.
with the Taurus. Yeah.
Taurus, yeah. In Memoriam. Sempiternal Beings. after that, which was great. Falling Back to Earth again from.
Interesting. I've got a different set list here from the same tour, but carry on.
It must have changed.
Cockroach King in place of Falling Back to Earth, both from the Mountain. So I imagine that's why.
They didn't play Cockroach King when I saw it. I'm so glad they did the other day, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Falling Back to Earth, and then The Architect.
Yep, abridged.
With abridged version, yes, which I think is really good. Love Bite.
Yep.
Atlas Stone.
Oh, okay.
Elephants Never Forget, and then they finished the set with Celestial Elixir. Which is the big track off of
that's
Aquarius.
two tours in a row they've finished the main set with Aquarius.
It's good. It's a good way of doing it. And then they played the whole of Messiah Complex for the encore.
Interesting. The one I've got from the Santiago show is Taurus in Memoriam, Sempiternal Beings, Cockroach King, The Architect, Love Bite, but then Prosthetic, Invasion, Pareidolia, Elephants Never Forget.
Oh, I've never seen Pareidolia live.
Yeah,
That'd been good.
Yeah. The Mountain. Yeah, anyway, we'll get to it.
That was a really good set list. I'm really happy with how they.
That's a well good show, by the way.
that.
That's, I mean, for like a non-evening with tour show.
Yeah.
That if I saw that set list, I'd be happy with that. If I saw that show,
it was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good. Yeah. That was. Yeah, I think that's even though we saw him the other day. I think that's still my favourite set, just because of where I was and how it turned out. Yeah. That was
and
really good.
if am I right in thinking that's the first time you've moshed?
Yeah.
So you got into it. Because I'm sure
I
before we've had this conversation,
myself.
I'm sure before we've had this conversation, and you've sort of said, "Oh no, I don't really like that sort of thing."
Well,
let's go sit, because you're usually like a balcony guy. In the past, you've been a balcony guy, and I've been. Do you remember Devin Townsend? I was on my own, down when we saw Devin Townsend live, because you guys wanted to sit on the balcony, and I was like, "No, it's Devin Townsend. I want to be in the crowds."
I think still Devin Townsend. I'd like to be out. It depends who the band is. I think. Because Devin Townsend's not heavy enough like that, I don't think, to really.
Well, no one moshed, so it wasn't like that. But
yeah, but I think, I mean, it just happened for experience. If I hadn't have done that, I probably would have got balcony seats again, because I got a balcony seats for Shepherd's Bush when Chris and I went a while back, and then
I didn't go. You went to a show without. Why didn't I go?
Chris
to
bought
that?
a ticket for me because I couldn't afford it, and he just said I bought you one. So.
No, he asked me if I wanted to go as well, and I said
really?
no, I can't. I went through a really weird phase just after COVID of not going to concerts, which is bizarre now because I've sort of got back in the groove of it. But I missed Transatlantic. I almost missed Neil Morse band, except at the very last minute I was like, screw it, tickets are £30, let's go.
I didn't go to either of those because I was away.
Right, yeah, that makes sense because you were away, but I just didn't want to go. So I missed Haken. I don't know what it was. It was just coming out of COVID. It's like I still wanted to go to concerts, but that's bizarre because I can't imagine passing up Haken or. I mean, it was the last ever Transatlantic show, but can you imagine Neil Morse band comes through and I'm like, nah.
Do you know what? I was just thinking about it. I'm just going to say I would never miss a Haken show because they're so good live. But I think I would probably actually like to go to 2 shows on the same tour.
Oh yeah.
One
to sit and enjoy,
and the second one on the balcony with the good sound.
Yeah.
That's the only issue with a few of these venues is that the sound's not great if you're down the front. But then again, it doesn't matter as much because you're properly moving around, getting into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so that happened, and I basically fell in love with Haken again because I did get a little bit bored of a couple of their singles for this album. Nightingale came out, and I remember going, "Oh, it's just the same thing again."
Well, we spoke about this when we reviewed the album. We said the same thing, that Nightingale comes out, and it's sort of like. And actually, not because they are related, but I was the same with Temic, where the singles came out and I wasn't really into it. But then you hear it in the album and it falls into place. It makes sense in context. I'm not with Nightingale. I didn't like Nightingale as a single. I didn't listen to it. It came out a year before Fauna. But in the album Fauna, it was really good.
It works well, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely. So when I saw him in Austin, I thought, wow, these are one of my favourite bands again, just like that, because it was just such a good night and the sound was good, and just everything was great. The set list being back there, and then leading up to this show, fast forward quite a bit, I noticed the drummer Ray Hearn. He puts out, he says basically if anyone wants like a drum lesson or anything like that, contact him. So I looked at it and I always look at him and I go, oh, that would have been cool to do, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't. I wasn't there. And then anyway, when it came around, I thought, you know what? Let's actually just go for it. It'd be really nice to meet him, have a chat with him. So we did it. So it goes like he basically you get in contact with him, follow him on Instagram if you need details. But he puts out a contact detail basically, and then you contact him and say, I want to join this at this date or whatever. I put a little bit of a background in and stuff like that, and he said, yeah, absolutely. And then so. At the last minute, you decided to do it as well, even though you're not a drummer, which was
I mean, it was so
good.
we we decided we'd go up together because it made the most sense. And I just don't get the train, even if it costs a little bit more, which it very rarely does. I'd rather drive to a tube station and then get the tube in. So we did to Redbridge and then got the tube in from there. Do you want to answer that?
What?
Do you want to answer that?
No.
Okay. Sorry, I read it. I was totally eavesdropping. Jack's phone just lit up, and he looked down. I looked down, and I read, "Oh,
no." Where were you?
I don't know. Yeah, so we were there together, and we had to get there for like 12 or whatever it was. So you sort of said, "Why don't you just come along and
You might learn something."
It's like 40 something quid. Come along and it'd be cool to meet Ray and get a question prepped, and that'll do. And so we did, and I did, and it was good.
It was really good, yeah. We learned quite a lot.
Well, so the coolest thing about that was that we went up and we went back around the back of the gate, and they were loading up, and he was sort of there, and so was the keyboard player. And yeah, he let us in through a door, and we were just on the stage. And it was like and I don't think he realised that for us that was. I know, obviously you've been on stages and stuff, but it's still cool to get to walk onto the stage. That was worth the price of admission alone. If you'd have said to me, 40 quid for just 5 minutes, come up on the stage, take a couple of pictures, I'd be like, well, I mean, I probably wouldn't do it, but I'd consider it.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, we got to walk on the stage. He just walked on like it was nothing, didn't even consider it. If he'd have said, oh, we're going on the stage, by the way, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. Advertise that.
Yeah.
Took us up to one of the green rooms or one of the sort of breakout rooms. And yeah, we just had a chat. There was 5 of us in the group, including one person who sort of drum tutored before, which is cool. And yeah, we just went around a circle, explained our sort of history. We all got to ask some questions. I think we all got a couple of questions in, didn't we? And then
yeah, it was really cool to just learn a bit more about
really impressive
process.
stuff on the pad. I'm not a drummer, but makes me want to get a pad and just have a little pad to tap away at, because that was really cool.
Yeah, it was really beneficial. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was nice meeting him. He was very chilled, and yeah, it's just really nice. And we learned quite a lot, didn't we? I asked about the touring side of things, obviously, because that's my experience. And he basically just suggested just go near anything that's green. He says we're designed to be outside, so if you're stuck indoors for 5-6 hours in a dark place without any windows, when you're on tour, obviously that means in the venue and stuff like that, then as soon as you get to a venue or wherever you're getting to, go and see something that's green. And
it's distracting me, so it's got to be distracting you.
not bothered.
Is that why you keep looking down and pausing every time it flashes up?
Well, I continued the flow of conversation.
Barely. Continue.
That was it, really.
See, I was more of an interruption there than the your phone lighting up, so that's ironic, isn't it?
I'm gonna just turn it around.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. It was good. I really wasn't paying attention to what you said just then. So
Excellent. Good. Distracted.
It was good. I enjoyed it. It was really good to do. It was cool to see Ray, cool to meet Ray, and yeah, he's a really nice guy, really softly spoken. Like, I think it's surprising. I think with a lot of these guys you expect to meet him, they'll be like all rock star personality.
Rock stars, yeah.
Because I was saying afterwards, we did the VIP meet and greet for Neil Moore's band one year, and it was very clear, like, Mike and Neil sort of had their game face on.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, how's it going? Yeah, man. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel like you were talking to the person. It felt like you were talking to the musician, like the stage persona.
Yeah.
Whereas, obviously, Bill, Randy George looked very uncomfortable, if I remember. He didn't look like he wanted to be there, which is fine, because he's quite shut up. Doesn't talk much, does he? But Bill and Eric Gillette, I think it was their second tour with them. They're still new to it, to like that kind of level of appreciation. So we had a good chat with them, and they were chatting with us, and it felt like you were actually talking to the actual person. Which is just different approaches, isn't it? You have like, yeah, Ray was like that, except obviously very, very experienced with that sort of thing, and yeah, just really nice guy. Sorry, I'm not. I need to cover myself up there because I've dug myself a bit of a hole. I'm not having a go at. I'm not saying Eric and Bill aren't experienced.
We'll just cut that bit out, I think.
No. And I'm not saying that Neil and Mike weren't being genuine or sincere. I'm just saying that it's different approaches to that sort of thing, isn't it? Same with when I mentioned Randy. It's a different approach to that sort of thing. Like, it
happens naturally, I think, when you've been in bands for ages and doing that sort of thing. Obviously, Mike Portnoy is in one of the biggest bands ever in that genre, so obviously he would be used to that sort of thing. But yeah, he was
cover to cover. Yeah,
Ray was just. He was like a musician. We said afterwards, didn't we? I guess you're gonna.
That's really weird, that, isn't it? That he was like a musician.
No, but like a nerdy musician.
Yeah.
It was just like he was really into the music. It wasn't about never spoke about the lifestyle. It was always like, actually, when we come up with this process, it's like this, and this is my drumming and stuff like that. It wasn't a case of we go out and we drink and we do this, and there's nothing like that.
And the question I had for him was about funky rhythms. The only YouTube short we've ever produced was me basically saying I don't like how it feels random with Haken, that it's just like like that. I struggle to, I can't learn it. And you said, well, if you listen, there's always something. There's always a hi-hat or something to keep in the beat.
Pulse.
He described it as saying, it's like a pulse. Like I'm thinking, where's the pulse? And it might not just be on the hi-hat. It might be on something else. It might drift between different drums, but it's always there to keep you light. He said it's because you've got this really complex music, but you want people to headbang and to be able to mosh to it. So you need that pulse there, even though it's all over the shop.
It can't be too rigid. It has to be, if you're going to play in 7. And he did say as well that when they come up with rhythms and stuff or riffs, they never go, right, let's do a riff in this time signature. It's like, no, what sounds the coolest?
Yeah, you can write the riff and then figure out what the time signature is from there.
So he said sometimes they come out with riffs that are already in 13, and it's like, okay, that's fine, we can do that. Just happens naturally. It's just whatever sounds the coolest. And their stuff sounds really, really cool.
I was thinking during the show, and obviously we'll get to this, but a lot of the times people were clapping, and they managed to stay in time just fine, and that's pretty again from. Well,
that's because usually if you play a riff in 7, you'll be on the beat for the first 7, you'll be on the upbeat for the second, but then you'll reach it back again for the third. So you can always keep it going. Yeah. That's the cool thing about it. Yeah.
So should we get into the show itself?
It started on time. That's something that was quite interesting.
Is that not usual? So it started.
An evening with tour.
7:45.
Yeah. An evening with.
Was Ross put on Facebook beforehand that it would be 7:45.
Exactly. So and it did start then. Like the music, the lights went down. The intro music started playing. An
evening with tour.
Evening with tours are easier to do because you've not got a support band that's
sort of changeover or like.
We saw when we got there at 1:30, everything had already been loaded in, and then after we did the chat thing, obviously, then they start setting the kit up, and
they were sound checking as we were queuing up at like 6 o'clock, so we're a good 2 hours before the show was starting.
Yeah, so it's only one band that basically, unless obviously a technical issue happens, you've not got this one band, and it's their gear, it's their crew, they're there. So you've not got a support band that you've got to wait for, rely on, or something going wrong for them.
Was there a technical issue? Did something go wrong at one point?
No.
I suddenly had when you said that, a memory that something went wrong and everyone pretended it didn't, and that I'd completely wiped it out of my memory and it was just sparked again.
I don't remember anything, no.
So we played our first gig for the round window. We'll probably do a dedicated podcast for that. So we had an issue where we had to have a playback for the intro of one of the songs, and it didn't start, and we were just all sort of stood in silence for about 30 seconds. I think my keyboard was muted because it was making some sort of fuzzy sound. I'm sure something like that happened at one point during the Haken gig, but I honestly can't remember.
I don't remember that.
I feel like we would have remembered it, but also I feel like we might have memory hold it. I don't know.
No,
bizarre. Anyway, continue.
No, I thought I just thought the whole experience was great. It's quite easy to get in, queuing up. We got there in good time. After we saw Ray, we obviously hung out for like a few hours. We played chess. I won every time.
Yeah, we played chess. Went to a pub, played chess. Watched the Ipswich match. Watched the
a little bit of Man United game. Had some food, had a drink or so.
A couple of £6.75 drinks.
That's quite expensive, isn't it? Yeah. And then just sort of walked down to the venue with, I don't know, it was about an hour before, 45 minutes before doors. Yeah, it just worked out really well. It was just really chilled, really relaxed. And it's it was just overall a really good experience. And I mean the crowd were crazy, weren't they, from the get-go as soon as the first song started.
Well,
it took a second for them to get into it, but then there's a breakdown section in Taurus, and that's where people started all it takes is one person to start pushing, and then they push back, and then they bump into someone else.
And respectful, there were lines, and people were dressed up as well as had different animals and stuff. They were filming it for a live release. There was a bit of attention paid to that.
Yeah,
lovely crowd. I mean, we've been to so many shows. It felt like there was a wave of shows that were filmed in the UK. I remember I used to think, why does no one ever film their tour shows in the UK? And then we had who was it with Flying Colours and the crowd wasn't crap for Flying Colours, but at one point Casey comes down into the audience and is singing whatever it's Peaceful Harbour.
It wasn't Peaceful Harbour, it was Cosmic Symphony.
Cosmic Symphony, that's right. The quiet bit in that song. And a security guard comes up to him, thinking he's just some guy that's just walking down the thing, and it's like, you're not. So that was the security being bad, and the crowd was pretty dead. Everyone sat down.
I don't think the security was being bad, because that's, if anything, he's doing his job too well.
He wasn't paying attention. He didn't realise that was the singer and that he was doing a thing.
But did they mention that they were going to do that? That's the thing as well. Or did they just do it thinking, oh, they'll be fine?
Well, it should be fine. Why should that not be fine? Neil Morse runs around and goes into crowds and stuff. That's the thing he's done before.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so we had that. But that was alright. I wasn't a great show for me personally. Didn't enjoy it massively. Just
crowd was
set this stuff. Crowd was a bit dead. And then obviously big train film here because they're English. That's fine. Dream Theater did it here, and again dead crowd.
We stood up a few times, didn't we? And we were asked. We got like a little poke on the back, and I turned around and they were like, "Can you sit down, please?"
Did they say that?
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that. No.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, there were a couple of people behind us. We stood up at the end of a song. And we were like, okay. When they started the next song, we were still stood up, and then after about 10-15 seconds, they poked me in the back and said, "Can you sit down?"
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me.
And then I sat down. You must have just seen me sit down, and then you went and sat back down then. But yeah, that's annoying.
Oh, I didn't even know. That had happened.
It's a tough thing though, because it is a seated audience.
No, but you don't. It's seated like a sign. It's tiered seating. I think tiered seating is the issue. You've got the more expensive tickets towards the front, which makes sense. The cheaper tickets towards the back. But that means that the older people, who are probably more likely to have more assets, have a bit more expendable cash, are going to be seated towards the front, and they're not going to want to stand for a 3-hour show, which is fair enough. But in my mind, go on the balcony if that's you.
Yeah.
Don't. If you want to sit down, go on the balcony.
It is a hot topic in a way.
To be clear, they were fine. There's nothing wrong with sitting down for a show, and there's nothing wrong with standing up for a show. It was just crazy to me that both nights, and Mangini was even like pointing at people to stand up. He was like, "Get us up, bloody! We're filming this. I know. Bloody get involved. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So that sucked. It was great shows.
It happened at Morsefest as well, because I remember Neil, it wasn't Neil. It was the guy who was doing the raffle, was saying that we're so. He goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot. We're so polite here."
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We all laughed. It's like, yeah, it's a strange British thing. It is nice to be polite, nice to be quiet, and just get on with stuff. But when it's a gig, and especially if it's being filmed, that's your chance to show what you can do. And don't forget that people in like Chile are going to get this DVD.
And people in Chile, the gigs,
crowds are crazy.
Right? Yeah.
It's like they're going to watch it and go, "What?
Well, they actually enjoy it.
Filming it there?"
This was interesting because when the gig started, the crowd weren't really that into it, and there was a couple of sort of Spanish guys. I presume they were Spanish because they were speaking what I think was Spanish, who were right next to me or us or something, and they just kept sort of pushing into me and not making it and not talking, but going crazy and just like singing at the top of their lungs. And I was sort of like, there was a guy next to me who looked really pissed off. He was like looking at him, frowning, arms crossed. And I thought about
the Haken show
right at the start. I thought about it. Oh, it was the guy that was in the
drum thing with us.
The drum thing with us, yeah. Him and his mate, they were going absolutely crazy right from the start. And I thought,
yeah, that's true. I remember
there's a version of me here. There's two ways I can react to this. I can go,
you can get annoyed,
get out of my personal space.
A standing gig.
No, but it's a British crowd, isn't it? You don't sort of just push into people outside of like a mosh pit or something. And can you stop singing so loudly?
Can you stop singing loudly? Oh my goodness.
No, but this
is annoying though. I will say, if someone's singing behind you and they're completely out of tune and you can hear them louder than you can hear the singer, that is annoying.
But they were at Haken, and this is the thing. This is what I started thinking about. There's two ways to react to it. Like I was saying, you either get annoyed by it, like the guy next to me did, or you go, we're at a gig, we're at a concert. If I wanted to listen to this in perfect high definition, I'll just chuck the CD on. I know what's coming up on the set list. I know it's a Fauna full album. I pretty much know what the second set is going to be. Why would I not just sit back and not sit back? Why would I? I'm in the crowd. I'm not in the balcony.
Yeah,
I'm not here to sit and cross my arms and watch. Forget it. They're doing that there, so I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to be belting it from the top of my lungs. I'm going to be enjoying myself. I'm going to be clapping along, shouting and screaming and whatever. I'm going to be getting into it and pushing. That's all right. That's fine. And I had such a better time for it. And I looked at the photos they put on Facebook. It was yesterday or today. And there's that guy that was stood next to me with arms crossed, frowning throughout the whole show. Just frowning.
You saw him in the picture?
Yeah.
We shouldn't... Yeah, it's tough, really, because I was that guy. I think it was during... Was it the Vector tour? And where we saw them, we stood up.
Oh, I was well annoyed, because there were those...
And there was the first time, I think, we were in a Haken crowd that... there was a bit of pushing and shoving.
It was a mixture of like old prog guys. There was a couple of old fellas there, and we were like in the middle, and then there was like younger guys that were there for the metal, and I got really annoyed because I was like, this isn't a metal show, this is a prog show. We should be standing here. I want to stand here and watch the artist perform. That's what I'm here to do.
But that was their transition album. That's when they brought in Nil by Mouth, and that's when we brought in the heavier riffs and the more genty stuff, heavier. So I feel like they were moving away from prog, and it was definitely a conscious decision for them to do that, to go a bit more metal. But that's what happens when you do that. And I think that was definitely the transition tour, and it showed, I think, in the crowd, because there were a few older people that sort of got really pushed into, and they
one guy left.
Yeah,
he got to go, and then he left.
Yeah, which is
it was a shame, but again, you make that choice. I understand you're expecting a prog gig, and then you come and it's more of a metal gig. That's
why it's not hit. That wasn't their fault. The ones that got annoyed, because that's a transition one. Whereas you go to a Haken show now, and you know what to expect.
You know what to expect, and everyone there knew what to expect.
And circle pits and stuff like that.
And that's why they have a balcony, which is good.
Yeah.
The thing is,
they're big enough to do that now, which is good.
I decided going into it that I was just going to enjoy it, and regardless, and not let other people ruin it for me, or not let my own opinion on what other people are doing ruin it for me. And it was really nice, and especially seeing someone who behaved the way I would have done a couple of years ago by getting annoyed at other people and sort of rejecting that because I saw someone else like, so pathetic, just enjoy the show. And there was like a 16-year-old kid behind me, and he was yelling so out of key.
Oh dear.
No, but it was fine because, again, it's not really, it is about the music, but it's about enjoying the music, being in a place with other people and enjoying the music. That's what a gig is, right? So forget it. Other people are a part of that. If you don't want the other people, don't go to a gig.
Or go in the balcony.
Yeah,
where you can just sit down and watch.
You've reached the point in the show where it's time for Educating Jack Part 2. So you've already had Big Dreams, Tiny Giants. You've got 2 left. You've got Nah, Reg, It's Not Working, Try Being Elton, and Too Busy Surfing to Fly With Colours. Go on, what do you want? Nah, Reg, It's Not Working, Try Being Elton, or Too Busy Surfing to Fly With Colours.
Too Busy Surfing to Fly With Colours.
Alright, this is a short one. So you know who Brian Wilson is?
Yeah.
Of Beach Boys fame?
Well, I know the song.
Okay, so Brian Wilson.
That you did a cover of.
From the Beach Boys.
Which is a cover of.
Yeah, massive band. Brian Wilson's massively popular.
Bare Naked Ladies.
I did cover Brian Wilson. So Brian Wilson, of the Beach Boys fame, was originally the singer.
No way.
Of Flying Colours.
What?
Yeah, right.
Before they went, actually, I want Casey instead.
But he couldn't commit due to scheduling conflicts.
Brian Wilson
of the Beach Boys.
The guy who's had a song made for him from Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah, but also he was in the Beach Boys.
I don't know who the Beach Boys are.
It's a bit like Tiptoe Through the Tulips, isn't it?
Horrible.
You know this song?
Yeah, because of adverts. I don't know this one.
Surfing USA.
Don't know it. Why would I know this song?
How could you not know this song?
Why would I know this song? When was it released? Can you turn it off?
You've never heard that before.
When was it released?
2001.
I was
the remastered version.
Right.
No, I don't know. 1966.
Okay. There you go then.
12 million monthly listeners on Spotify.
Okay. Good for them. Good for the 12 million.
Brian Wilson was originally going to be the singer in Flying Colours.
I don't know who Brian Wilson is other than the Bare Naked Ladies song. I don't even know that song. I know the song that you covered, which is that one.
Brian Wilson.
From Bare Naked Ladies.
So he's so famous, he has a Bare Naked Ladies song about him.
Cool.
But because of scheduling conflicts.
And I only know him from
and he was going to be in the band
cover of that song.
They were trying to make it work. He was going to be in the band. Isn't that insane? Isn't that crazy?
That would have been a completely different band, wouldn't it?
Exactly. This is
potentially a lot worse.
I mean, I'm glad it's Casey. It's the same thing. If it was Brian Wilson, it would have been all about the fact it's Brian Wilson. Proper mainstream appeal, but that shows the level of commitment it was meant to be to like progressive pop.
Yeah.
That's what it was meant to be.
That's interesting. I like that. I like that fact.
You're welcome. So, Too Busy Surfing to be Flying With Colours.
Oh, that's why you've done surfing, because of the song, and that's why you got annoyed because of the. Oh, he doesn't like it because I didn't get his clue. Look at his face.
So the set list from the Haken show. The first set was Fauna in its entire. Oh, well, they're still on tour, so if you don't want it spoiled, then don't listen to what I just said. Rewind. Forget that I said that. Taurus, Nightingale, The Alphabet of Me with live trumpet.
That was really good.
That was really
nice,
good.
Yeah.
Sempiternal Beings, Beneath the White Rainbow, Island in the Clouds, Love Bite, Elephants Never Forget, and Eyes of Ebony. And if that's not enough, dear listener, they ended that first set with Crystallized.
Oh, it's crazy. That's such a good way of doing it. I tell you what, right, just going back to the Fauna set, and this is me being overly critical.
It's unlike you.
Well, it is unlike me, actually. Yeah. I really, Fauna, in my opinion, is their best album to date. Probably by far. The Mountain is next, in my opinion. But I just think the sound, the sound quality, they cannot get there's any better than that. The audio quality of that album, which really elevates the songs. Which means that there will be a couple of songs, couple of tracks that don't quite work live, and there's 2, I think, in there that I wasn't too sure about.
The problem, we said this right from the get go. The guitars weren't loud enough.
I want to stop you
and
there.
And the keyboard
they were.
But
we weren't in the right place. So what actually happens is, so at the Kendricktown Forum, you've got quite a same size venues. You'll have the same. You've got the stacks of hanging PAs, the speakers, on one side of the stage and on the other. If you're stuck in the middle towards the front, you don't get much of that. So we had a lot more drums, specifically the cymbals, because we were obviously closer to the drum kit. And I think there's side wedges, but I think that's mainly rather than for the crowd's benefit. From my experience anyway, that's their backup for the stage performers. So in case their ears go out slightly, they can hear something coming through. But there wasn't anything really at the front or at the top that was facing down on us, which I think is a shame. When we were moving around and whatever, we found ourselves sort of a bit further back and to the right, a bit closer to one of the speakers, and because of that, I found everything else was a lot clearer, and I think that's what it was. The guitars were definitely louder, and we met a friend halfway through the interval, and because she was a bit late, she was sort of towards the back-ish, and she said that guitar, she thought, because I said to her during the interval, I said, "Oh, what do you think the sound? We couldn't really hear the guitars. I felt like it needs to be a bit louder." That's before I realised about the speakers, and she just said, "No, I thought the guitars were really loud."
Yeah, well, Chris said the same thing. Our other mate Chris was up on the balcony on his own, loser, and he
had a better sound quality.
Because for me, as a keyboard player, I was really looking forward to hearing, because Diego was a god with his whole keyboard setup, his whole rig, loads of different stuff, a couple of analog synths, a couple of controllers, really, really impressive setup. And then the new guy, I've forgotten his name.
He's not a new guy. He's returned, isn't he? Peter Jones.
Well, Peter Jones. He wasn't on any of the other albums. He helped to write Crystallized, but he didn't play on Aquarius. But he didn't play on Aquarius. Right. Diego did. So he's really, really good. But his setup is the complete opposite. He does the Jordan Rudess thing, where he has one keyboard. I'm somewhere in the middle. I have 2 keyboards, but both are running through Mainstage, just because I like to have piano with weighted keys, and then a synth. I don't want weighted keys. I'm going to slide my finger all over the shop. He has one, obviously, as a controller. So I was really interested in hearing how his sounds maybe differed from Diego's, how he got around some of the stuff, like when Diego used the Haken, a different company called Haken, Seaboard, how's he getting around that? But unfortunately, I couldn't hear the keys at all, except for when it was only keys, and even then, barely heard them. So that was a shame. Yeah. But again, I wasn't really paying attention to the artistry of it, because we were in the show, we were in the music, we were really into it. Which means the sound obviously was good enough, but I think, you listen to you go to a Dream Theater show, and with the exception of the last couple, which I think the sounds are very good, the Hammersmith Odeon and the Apollo and Wembley Arena. I thought those two, the Apollo, the sound was just a wall of noise, and the arena Wembley Arena always sucks for sound. Whereas the shows before that have been crystal clear. So that was obviously a conscious choice by them. But Dream Theater was very, very precise sound, and you can hear each individual part, and you can hear the keys really loud. It wasn't like that here. It was a different sort of vibe.
Well, the saving grace of it, really, and the way that you can come
but,
out
sorry,
of it.
again, last bit again for us, not necessarily for everyone. So, go on.
The thing is that we've actually got best of both worlds because we were in the show, and we're going to hear the best sound quality ever when the actual release comes
yeah,
out.
it's true.
So we're going to sit
true.
here, we're going to put the speakers on loud, we're going to watch it back, we're going to probably have the CDs in our cars. So, yeah, we've got the best of both worlds.
I think that's me cheering now. I can hear myself. That's my woo.
Do you know what? I was going to, at the beginning, when they were doing like the sort of jungle theme music, the lights went down, little jungle theme music, and a few people were like going, oh, something like that. I was so close after about a minute because I was like, when are they actually coming out? Going, where are you? Must be having you.
Oh dear.
Which I thought, and I was so close to doing it. And actually, the only reason I didn't is because I thought, well, my throat's a bit funny at the moment. I'm not going to actually be able to do it properly. And imagine if that got picked up. That's so good. That would have ruined it, but I would have loved it.
I do wonder if maybe some of the cheers because we had this comment, didn't we, that during some of the quiet bits people were going crazy, and I do wonder if that's because they knew it was being filmed, and that if they cheer, there's a chance they get picked up for the CD.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Because you can't. They'll fade in and out the audience, but some of the mics will still pick up ambient audience noise, even like the drum overheads or something might pick something up. So there's still a chance of being in there.
Potentially, but then they'll go through every instrument anyway, probably. Knowing Haken, they'll make it the best sounding quality as possible, and there'll be least bleed. So they'll probably go through and go, well, the drums aren't playing here, we'll cut the mics.
Yeah, sure.
And then we'll just use the room mic and the actual thing that's coming through. So we may not hit that, but we'll see. And actually, that's true. That's the only thing that annoyed me, actually. That's the only thing that got to me a little bit with the crowd. It's just with the very quiet moments, you couldn't hear it because people were going, yeah, wow, whoa, whoa. And it was like, it's a quiet moment. The whole idea there is so that, you're quiet and the music comes through and you wait, we build the suspense, and the heavy bit comes in, and that's when you go crazy.
I was going to say the...
Excellent. Moving on.
One thing that I have always liked about live scenes from New York that I never really felt I got to replicate, or have always thought in my head that'd be a good bit for that, is the woes. Woo, woo,
yeah.
woo. And I thought we did that at Shattered Fortress, and other people did.
That was really
That was
powerful.
an insane show, that one.
In fact, the
by
crowd
the way,
were going so loud that I couldn't hear the guitar over the vocals.
And that's great. No, I thought the same thing, and it's great I was mentioning that because that was obviously Haken minus Ray.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And what I think is going to be even more than that when they play Overture 1928 to start off the Dream Theater show in 25 days' time. First show of the tour. We're going to be the first people to see that drum kit. Anyway, that's Dream Theater, different band. Happened constantly here. And
People
it was
singing
it
along
was
and
and I know on the Distant Memories live album from Dream Theater there's that bit in what song is it? Dun 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 dun. Whoa.
Yeah.
But I don't remember people doing it. I know we did, but I wonder how much of that is kind of boosted and
probably boosted. But I also think that if I remember, didn't James LeBrie get everyone doing it?
Oh, he might have done.
He sort of went like that, didn't he?
Oh, he might have done. Anyway, it was happening just constantly throughout the entire. People were. I heard. You're in the mosh pit and you're jumping around, and from all sides of me, I could hear people singing the guitar solos.
Right.
Like.
Speaking of, I watched a video the other day of. There's a video. I don't know how much of a big YouTube channel it is, but it's someone that basically gets bands in to sit in the car and do a cappella versions of their tunes, and they got Haken in.
Really? I've not seen that.
Well,
you sent that to me.
I haven't sent it to you. No, I couldn't. It was on my PlayStation when I was doing it. I'll show you later. But it was really good, and it was like it's older-ish one.
Cockroach King, surely.
I don't even think you'll guess what song it is, but I'll give you one clue to actually help you along. At the beginning of the video, they tie Ross Jennings' hands together. They put a bit of tape over his mouth and put him in the boot. Close it. They all get in the middle.
What? Oh no! I have seen it. It's Nil by Mouth.
Yeah.
I have seen it.
And then you've got Diego going. And then they go.
I have seen that. That is
so
fast.
good.
I have seen that. No, I have seen
If anyone hasn't seen it, Just go on YouTube and it's Haken Nil by Mouth, but it's a cappella version, and they're sat in a car. I don't know the name of the YouTube channel. It's only got like 50,000.
Was Nil by Mouth Vector? I always thought it was Virus.
No, it's Vector. We were speaking about the set list, and I mentioned about Fauna going through the whole thing, and I think there was 2 songs that didn't quite work for me. That unfortunately it was the final song. I can never remember the final track. It just felt a bit dead. It's got a really cool melody.
Of Valhalla. That one.
Yeah, it's got a really nice melody in it, but it just felt a bit flat.
I always forget it's heavy. I keep thinking it's like...
Yeah, then it goes into the heavier part.
But it's actually a complete song. I keep thinking it's an outro song, but it's not. Because Elephants Never Forget, when that started, you turned to me and said, "This is the best song they've ever done." Oh, no, it was halfway through it.
Yeah, this
after
is the best
one of the
song
mosh
they've ever
pits, it was like, this is the best song they've ever done.
I really think it is. And the crowd response to it, I think, shows that I'm not the only one that thinks that. People probably had the loudest cheer when they started playing that, and they went crazy. Apart from Nil by Mouth, because obviously that's ridiculously heavy instrumental.
Well, actually, I was going to say, let's get into that, because this set list was relentless. So you got the whole of Fauna, and then Crystallize, which is a 20-minute song.
Crystallize is so good.
Yep.
So good. I'd recommend.
I got to be honest, doesn't really work as a set closer. Didn't really work after Fauna, but I was just happy to hear it, to be honest.
It's a deep
an awkward
cut.
transition. And because it's from an EP, and they didn't play the intro. They just went straight into it, didn't they?
That's fine.
And then the second set, and they barely stopped to breathe. I think maybe spoke to the audience once or twice. You've got Puzzle Box, Into Earthrise, Cockroach King, Nil by Mouth.
Cockroach King was really good.
That was
really
great.
Good, yeah.
And then Cockroach King ends, and Cockroach King is like everyone knows, everyone's singing along, and you're like, oh, that's. But then into Nil by Mouth, which people went absolutely crazy for.
Yeah.
That was so good. 1985, one of my favourite songs of theirs. And then The Strain with an extended drum and keyboard solo, which I appreciated because
I thought
you
was
got
cool.
a chance to catch your breath.
Yeah, I thought it was cool as well. It was a good timing.
And a lot of what Peter Jones is doing on the keyboards is sort of arpeggiators, and there's a lot of crazy sounds that he's coming up with, and he really got a chance to explore and play with them there, and it worked. It
was really nice. My only thing to improve that, I shouldn't really say that because that's arrogant, but I think the only thing for me is it would have been nice for Ray to use the pads a little bit less. I know the idea was because it's electronic, but I feel like, and they did a little bit on the kit, but I just thought, maybe do a little bit more on the acoustic kit for me, just for my taste. That's all it is. It was really interesting. I liked it. Actually, speaking of the taking a breather, during Nil by Mouth, they have that little break before the do 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 do, and I thought, okay, that was okay. I know this song well enough. This is a good time to take your breath, and I breathed in, and I felt like I was breathing in hot air. I was like, oh no. And then I thought, it sort of settled down a bit. But I remember that moment of going, this isn't good.
What do you mean?
You know, breathing in, so you're like sweating, and you're surrounded by not the greatest smells in the world of musty people.
There was a couple of very
people were dripping as well. So you touch their back,
not
and it's
showered.
like you put your hand in the. It wasn't. I don't know. Maybe
some people hadn't showered. Some people put their arms up, and
there were a couple of things. So you just think, well, it's fine. These are people. Whatever. You can't tell them how to live. They're having fun. Blah blah blah. Just get involved. This is what you should expect from a show when you're doing.
Well, it was the
stuff
same
like
thing. I could have got annoyed by that. I chose not to.
But then I was thinking, right, okay, it's a breather. I need to get fresh air. I'm out of breath. I'm sweating. I literally put my head, because you have to put your head up, don't you, to try and breathe to get the aircon. And it was just hot air. And I just thought, oh man, like if I can't catch my breath here, I'm in trouble a little bit, because it was so hot. But I think eventually it calmed down, and you just sort of wait for that mustiness to drop, and then you get the cool aircon that hits you. That was quite good.
So, and then Canary Yellow.
Yes, transitioned into that.
And they finished with Drowning in the Flood from Aquarius, which isn't a song I know. I know a couple of things from that album. Don't really know Drowning in the Flood. I just turned to you tonight.
It's a good one.
The only problem with that is that I think a lot of people didn't, and I noticed that people started talking a little bit.
Yeah, but that's nothing to do with the band.
No, it's nothing to do with the band. It's nice to close with Aquarius, but I do wonder if you should have maybe closed with something a bit bigger. It felt like a bit of an awkward closer, because a lot of people didn't know it, and it was pretty clear. Something like The Endless Knot might have worked better to finish.
Potential, or The Architect.
I'll
get into that in a sec.
And then the encore. Visions. So what you've got here, I mean, Elephants Never Forget is an epic.
I would just say
you've got 3 epics in this set.
Yeah, but it's a prog gig.
I know, but you don't get that. It's like we're saying, are Dream Theater going to play Octavarium, or are they going to play 6 Degrees, or are they going to play Count of Tuscany, or Best of Times?
Dream Theater will have 15 albums to go through of work.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is you're not going to expect them to go, yeah, we'll play 3 epics. I mean, they've got 7 albums.
Maybe. I mean, it's an evening with Dream Theater tour, so they're definitely going to play for 3, maybe 3.5 hours. Well, hopefully they'll play for that long.
8 albums were represented on that Haken show.
Yeah, which is great.
Well, 1 EP, but
The problem is that all of the best Dream Theater albums are the long ones. So you've got Learning to Live, for example. Obviously Octavarium. There's so many that.
Well, we had this issue because we've got a lot of long songs in the round window, and we want to, for our Oh, we won't spoil any
2 albums
of the set
worth.
list, not that it matters, but December 29th, we're playing a gig at Three Wise Monkeys, and we've got a 12-minute song we want to play, and then we've got The Tides, Parabellum, and Another Chance, which are 3 10-minute songs, all of which work as either openers or closers.
Yeah.
And we need to try and maybe fit all of them into a set.
Well, we've got a set list
Stay
together
tuned
now.
to find out.
Yeah. We put a set list together. And
Plus one deep cut, which we're going to play, which is
don't
also
give
sort of an
anything
epic.
away.
I'm not giving anything away. I'm just saying it's a tough thing to do, and we've really had to work out how do we make it work so we can play several long songs.
Well, yeah, we've put a set list together, and once we've learnt all the songs with the band members, we'll see if it works in that order and go from there.
Will we be playing 4 epics? Find out.
Well, yeah. We just said we are. We just said we don't know what order it's going to be in.
Find out. I always forget how good Haken are, and then I listen to it again for like the first time in 6 months, and I'm like, bloody hell.
Yeah.
I still maintain that there isn't enough emotion in the lyrics for me to listen to it loads. I get to a point and I'm like, this is a bit sort of artificial, so I need something a bit more human, I think, to really relate, and that does turn me off a little bit. But as a metal band and like for the shows, it's fantastic, and
they're such good players, and musically speaking, from a musician side, it's the next level.
It's ridiculous. There's no point even. Yeah. So.
Jesus.
Yeah, I would give. It's probably one of my top 5 shows of all time. It's not gonna beat Dream Theater 2014 when I was like That's the first time I'd ever been to a show where it was like my favourite band ever, and I was right in my peak of being into them, and the set list just absolutely floored me. And I remember, oh god, and that was the one where the encore was Metropolis Part 2, but it was Overture 1928, Strange Deja Vu,
Dance of
Dance of Eternity, and then finally Free.
Yeah, that was good.
That was what an encore. But this is up there. This is up there for me. I think that there's Big Train, that Dream Theater show, Marillion, was it Light at the End of? No, it was just before that. It was 2019, December 2019, and I had like 3 pints, and they opened with Gaza, and what an amazing song that I used to think was called Gaza, because I thought about some guy called Gary.
Gaza! It's about Gaz!
I didn't know anything about Middle Eastern conflicts. Anyway.
Well, that's true, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you don't know, you don't know.
Whereas now I have a Reddit account, which means I'm an expert. So that's how that works.
Jesus.
That battery's dead. So that was up there for me as one of the better shows. I just crushed.
Oh, you did as well. Crushed a tea cake.
I don't think it's the best show I've ever been to, but it's up there.
So for me, it was amazing. It was an amazing show. Really cool set list. I think next time I'd prefer them not to do. They won't do it again, but I prefer them not to do the Fauna the whole way through. I like most of the songs from Fauna. Just
I wouldn't
split
mind
out throughout the set list. And to be honest, they have to do An Evening With, because as much as I love the Austin show is my favourite one because of the circumstances, but I don't want a support band. I don't want a support band for Dream Theater. Bands like that, I feel like they are at their best when they play a 3-hour show because of the length of their songs. Dream Theater play a 3-hour show and play 18 songs. Like if you do any when we saw them,
or 11 songs.
Well, yeah, when we saw them recently and they did the 2 hours, it just went by too quickly. And
the argument's always, well, they're getting older now. So, but it makes sense for Taken to do it. They're younger guys. Well, then
Dream Theater aren't that old. They're like late 50s. It's not.
Yeah, but you don't know what that's like. You're not in your late 50s.
Yeah, but they're trained, aren't they? They're trained in doing stuff like that. I just feel like don't slow down yet. I don't think you need to. I really don't think so. You've looked after yourself, surely. Keep looking after yourself, and I think you'll be fine. Do 3 hours. And luckily, yeah, the Dream Theater show is An Evening With.
I think this is the show we've been waiting for ages, where it's been like, oh, you don't need Bentley and Voller. So I discovered Bentley from that Haken gig. I didn't really enjoy them before the set, but whatever.
They're a bit too bland. For
I
me.
mean, I'd have to listen to them more, I think, to really get them. They didn't click for me on that night, let's say. But this, for me, was the transformation to the version of Haken that I want, with these big, dramatic, ambitious shows full of epics. Absolutely ticked it, absolutely achieved it. For me, it was sort of like a cocoon. Not a slug, a caterpillar. Emerging as a beautiful butterfly. Called Ross Jennings. So, yeah, I think I'd probably give the show an 8 out of 10. Probably one of my...
Well, then how could it get better?
Sound, which maybe isn't their fault.
I don't think the sound was
pick
an
better
issue.
venues. I don't know.
I think all big venues would be like that.
And again, a couple of clunky things. Ending the first set with Crystallised didn't really... Again, I'd rather hear Crystallised, but didn't really work as a set closer. Didn't really work after Fauna. Like you said, some of the more, I guess, intimate parts of Fauna didn't quite work in that setting. And also closing the second set with a track from Aquarius, which I guess I didn't know, so I'm sort of making it like everyone else didn't. But there was a shift in the...
I knew it relatively well. Not enough to know all the words.
Visions is a superb encore song. I think if it was me writing the set list, I would have looked at that and gone, ooh, that might not work. Let's end with something a bit bigger. But
well, they ended with Visions on the last time they did their CD when they released a live album. They finished with Visions, and it never quite clicked with me. I don't think the sound quality was amazing on that live release, and on the album Visions, the sound quality is a bit strange for me. There's something missing about it, and it kind of puts the song off. But when we saw it live, Visions was great.
I wanted to hear Messiah Complex. Should have played Messiah Complex. I would have taken that over Visions. In fact, I might have said get rid of Crystallised, replace it with Messiah Complex to close that first set. Heavy into Heavy.
I reckon.
I think Messiah Complex is such a good song. They only played it in the last tour, which I didn't get to see. So.
Messiah Complex is really good. I do feel like they should have done something with
Should
that.
have gone to the last tour.
Or maybe what they do is they finish the first set with Visions, and then have... That's 2 albums done.
No, but
then.
Visions is cinematic, and you got the woes at the end that make it work really well. Whoa,
or you get rid of the Aquarius track and you do Crystallised there.
Yeah, possibly. But then what do you end the first set with? Messiah Complex?
You just finish the album.
Yeah, maybe.
That is a set list in itself.
But then it's only a 1 hour set rather than an hour and 20.
That's fine. Then they come out and they do 20 minutes longer.
Yeah,
and work it out like that. What
do you give it out of 10?
Well, it's hard for me because I'd love to give the Austin set a 10 out of 10 because it changed absolutely everything about that. There was nothing I could say about that set, I don't think, or that day that went wrong. So that's my peak show, 10 out of 10. I think maybe the Haken one this time is 9, based on... I can't really mention... Well, I mentioned the sound, but I can't put it down because I think that's just basically where we were. I don't think there's anything they could do about that. I wish they played The Architect.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I would have taken that. 1985 is an amazing track, but for me that's the second best track on that album behind The Architect, and I think that needs to be in there somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with that.
But yeah, seeing Crystallised, seeing Cockroach King, seeing Kneel by Mouth, seeing Visions, like Elephants Never Forget is, in my opinion, the best song they've ever done.
Yeah. Even
it's so different to what they usually do, it's just so well put together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a 9 for me. I think Dream Theater are going to have to do very well to top it. I think they will, personally, because this is the comeback we've always wanted, and we're right nearish the front at this massive venue. So I think that could top it, but we'll see.
Sweet.
Oh, we've got Big Train next weekend.
Next one's Big Train next weekend. By the way, we put a gig vlog up on YouTube, which check it out if you haven't seen it already. We'll probably do one of those for each gig now. So yeah, that's pretty fun.
All right, hit me.
You've got the last... So we'll do ProgBusters and we'll also do Educating Jack. We've got one more fact left, and then I'll just go through these 3 ProgBusters again before we get to that. So this is a band you couldn't say no to. Why? Bit chilly, F. And then over there are my 2 kids who are male, named after a body of water, and my favourite type of tree, but sort of as a verb, and that. And then the last fact that you've got is, nah, Reg, it's not working. Try being Elton.
Okay.
It's going to blow your mind. So, we already spoke earlier about Derek Shulman. Yep. Okay. So, the band Gentle Giant was formed out of a failed psych pop group called Simon Dupree and the Big Sound. It was him. It was Derek Shulman and his brother. So it was the Shulman brothers. So that original band had a keyboard player called Reginald Dwight.
I know who that is.
You know who that is?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So.
Gentle Giant.
Gentle
had
Giant.
Elton
Hey,
John in it.
wait. So there was a guy called Reggie in the original band, Simon Dupree, and the whatever I said, and the Big Sound. So they then became Gentle Giant, and then a fella, their keyboard player Reginald Dwight, laid down some tracks for Gentle Giant, did some keyboard tracks for their first album, but the Shulman brothers decided it wasn't really the right direction they wanted to go in.
Oh.
So Reginald left the band and decided to start again under the new stage name Elton John.
That's so crazy. So, but I was hoping then that you'd say that his keyboard parts or piano parts are the ones that were on the album.
Well, it may
that
well
would
have
been cool.
It may well have influenced it, but there was.
So he wasn't proggy enough.
I don't know what it was because he was in a band with them beforehand, so they already knew. But there's a few instrumentals that he's done. That wasn't there a couple that Dream Theater covered on Change of Seasons?
Yeah.
So there you go. And
Love Lies Bleeding.
Yeah. Elton John was almost a progressive rock keyboard player.
Well, you might say that he. Well, yeah, you might say that he's quite proggy anyway in the stuff that he does, but it's
true.
It is quite.
Anyway, I just thought that was fascinating.
That is quite interesting. That's really good, actually. I like these.
Right. So there's
how are you going to give it a top them next week?
I don't know because to be honest with you, I found these facts by googling weird facts about prog bands, and then I found a Reddit thread with like 10 comments.
10 comments. So you've done 3
already.
already.
I picked the 3 that.
Okay, so the first 3 weeks.
And 2 of them were about Gentle Giant. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was surprised when you said Gentle Giant again, but it's on topic.
I checked them. I checked they were true as well. Right, should we go through the ProgBusters?
Yeah, I know the first 2.
This is a band you couldn't say no to. Why?
When you first said it, I thought you were going to the why. I thought you were asking me why.
No.
Why couldn't you say no to? Yes.
Well done. Yes.
Oh.
Bit chilly. F.
Frost.
Yeah, well done. And then over there are my 2 kids who are male. Over there are my 2 kids who are male, named after a body of water and my favourite type of tree, but sort of as a verb.
You've done me in with this one. I think you're going to have to give me the initials, and then I'm going to try and figure it out.
ELP.
ELP?
Yeah. There's a very famous prog band that goes by ELP.
ELP. Oh, Emerson, Lake, and Palmer.
Yeah.
Palmer.
So,
Palmer.
Ear, my sons.
Oh, for God's sake.
Ear, my sons.
Lake.
Body
of water.
Palm. My favourite type of tree, but as a verb.
I thought it was going to be one word
Palmer.
that encapsulates all 3 of those things.
No. Ear, my son, Emerson.
Ear, my son.
Body of water, lake. And my favourite type of tree, but as a verb, palmer.
Palmer.
Ear, my son, lake, and Palmer. Ear, my son. Ears, my son, lake, and Palmer. Ears, my sons, lake, and Palmer. Emerson, Lake, and Palmer.
Emerson, Lake, and Palmer.
So.
Great. So our advice is subscribe to this and on YouTube, Proglock podcast on YouTube, and watch our little well, I say ours when we're in it, but you did it, gig vlog. And yeah, I guess we'll see you next week.
Do it again next week
for finally the Big Train album. I was looking at you to say the name of it.
Oh,
you were just looking forwards.
The Likes of Us.
The Likes of Us.
So that'll be here next week.
Yeah. Cool. On video as well. So.
Well, this does take hours to edit, and then we won't be doing video again, but we'll see.
And we'll see you in
the next one. I messed with the focus. I meant to do the zoom. There you go.